Good evening, everyone. Here is Angy Stewart from Miami Inner Light, direct here at Kardec Radio. Again, every 2 weeks, we get together in order to study two beautiful books. The first one is Thought and Life by the Spirit of Emmanuel. And the second book is The Gospel According to Spiritism. And tonight we are actually in chapter 18 of this beautiful book on Thought and Life. So if you have never been here in our studies, the book Thought and Life is a simple book that the spirits asked Emmanuel to be able to do a summary to help the spirits that were almost ready to reincarnate on Earth. So it would be like some kind of guidelines in order to help them to better live on Earth, to help the spirits that were going to reincarnate here, how to live the life without so many mistakes that we usually do. So as we always do, we like to do an initial prayer, just to get connected with the enlightened spirits. But just a reminder, we always like to have some water in case that you feel a little sick or just to feel better. Because in Spiritism, we believe that the enlightened spirits can fluidify the water, and this water can be a medication for all of us. So at this second, let's just close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and let's do a quick prayer so we can connect with the guides of this study. Almighty God, beloved Master Jesus, thank you so much for bringing us together here again with your help and with your guidance to study these two beautiful books, connecting our thoughts with the elevated thoughts, so we can feel your good vibrations, your good energy, and doing so we will be able to do good comments, to receive your good inspiration, and this study will be a blessing to all of us. Please stay with us, but also send your vibrations and good energies to our friends that couldn't be here with us tonight. Thank you so much, so be it. Very good, very good. So what we do is we usually read the chapter and then we comment like paragraph by paragraph, but please feel free to write any comments, to ask any questions, and if you want to ask a question, it would be a pleasure to have you here. So, oh, very good. Marilda Veiga, nice to meet you. I haven't seen you yet. So, my dear, how are you? Eduardo, very good, my friend. You are back. That's awesome. And I'm sure Carla is here too. So very good. If you don't have the book, please go to the link, Miami Inner Light, and you will be directed to the photos, and then it's chapter 18, Society. So let's start. Society. Human society may be compared to a large melting pot of mental thoughts, where each spirit within it is in the process of evolution and purification, developing its own mental reflexes. Inside this environment, the principles of action and reaction operate with precision. Nations, like large factories of progress, are a valuable aid to civilization and significant centers of work, where a great number of souls participate in their self-education by serving the community. They often move from one country to another according to their need for certain acquisitions through experience. This is like us. I was born in Brazil and I'm here in the United States right now. This collective home of people where racial and social affinities are defined, it's itself the sum total of the emotions and thoughts of its inhabitants within its vibratory frontiers and by means of a brief learning period between cradle and grave, or what we call an earthly experience. The soul changes positions according to the mental reflexes it has emitted or those it has assimilated in its environment. Eventually, the time to check values arrives when physical death dictates the cessation of vital forces, which the spirit had received as a loan. The spirit is granted the bodily means for this task of development, service, readjustment, or elevation in the sphere of the flesh. It then reaps the results of its conduct. Many times, it will have to start the task of regeneration in its attitudes and purification its sentiments for the reconstruction of its destiny. Thus, those who trample over the rights of their fellow beings by taking advantage of their position of wealth or social power will later return to live in the same ill-treated way. Wow. There, they will receive in person the suffering which they created in the hearts of the needy people. And if both aggressor and victim do not succeed in ample and reciprocal forgiveness, we will find a social picture of recurrent waves of hatred and vengeance, dissension and crime, a breeding ground for all sorts of delinquency. Wow. Societies of yesterday that had enslaved human labor must today receive and nurture as its own sons those it has driven away from the land where they were to evolve. Invading armies that trample over the fields of a poor and humble people will be reborn as children of that conquered land where they must work for the reconstruction of the institutions they had destroyed. Wow, that's powerful. Segregation groups who humiliate other races return carrying the same pigmentation they had detested. Wow. Collecting the result of their own deeds. Aristocrats who are insensitive to the problems of the lower classes, after living in luxury, are usually reborn in the poorest sections of the city. They drink from the cup of poverty, the repercussions of their cruelty when, in other times, they had laughed off the pain and suffering of others. Wow. Human society has always been a gigantic filter of spirits, in which souls learn experience regarding wealth and poverty, as well as giving and receiving orders. By this process, they gather their harvest of their own planting and either remain at ordinary ground level or ascend in obedience to the divine evolution. Wow, we have been reading 18 chapters, but I have to say the chapter of society is very powerful. It's very strong. And for us, We are spiritists. We believe in the law of action and reaction, and we believe in reincarnation. So we know this understand. And when we read many of the romances from the spirit of Andre Luis, we understand that this happens. We understand that some people are born in a situation of a wealth, power, and then they misuse it. They don't do a good use of the opportunity, and then they have to be reborn, sometimes in the same location, in the same area, but in an opposite situation. Instead of being the queen, now they are the servant of the castle. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult, but it's very important for the spirit to be able to live that lesson, that the lesson that many times he really disliked so much a human being, and now he has to be in that situation to be able to overcome that hatred that he couldn't understand in the past. So this is powerful chapter. So let's digest it. So let's see who is here. Very good. Sol, Eduardo, Teresa, Daniela. Who is here? What? Oh, Daniela, very good, Daniela. Ron, my goodness, Ron. Such a long time I haven't talked to you. River, welcome, welcome everybody. If you arrived right now and you would like to read the pages of the book, please go to Miami Inner Light. There is a link there that you can go directly to the page. We are in page 69. So please feel free to write comments or write questions, and we will analyze it together. So if we go back to the first paragraph, where Emmanuel says, human society may be compared to a large melting pot of mental thoughts, where each spirit within it is in the process of evolution and purification. And this is true. So if you think we are all different beings, all different incarnate beings, but our souls, our spirits, they are different in age. So it's not because I am in a physical age right now and I have another person that's the same age as me, that we are the same spiritual age. So the person can be much, much older than me. And as you know, when we are older, we have more experiences, we have more opportunities to make good deeds, but also to commit mistakes. But at least this is one good thing. Age helps us to be wiser. I'm feeling it right now. Other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was telling me all kinds of things that she's going through and how she's doing. And I said, well, when I was at your age, 15 years younger than me, I was like this too. But you get older, and also because of studying spiritism, understanding that if we don't improve right now, if we keep postponing to later on, it's worse for us. It's worse for our evolution. So it's better for us to improve, to try to better ourselves a little bit. And then, it's almost like going to the gym. If you get the habit of going to the gym every day, then this will be like normal for you. It will be a piece of cake. The same thing is our improvement, our moral improvement, our intellectual improvement. So this melting pot is this. We are very different beings living together in the same society. So we are different ages, spiritually speaking, and then we have different thoughts. But when we live with people that think differently of us, it is very good too, because we have to learn how to respect others' opinions too, how to understand the other person, even if you don't agree with that. And this helps us to evolve. helps us to evolve in so many ways. So this melting pot, it's very important for us. This society, this living in society, it's very important for us. And then second paragraph, he says, they, like the spirits, the souls, they often move from one country to another according to their need for certain acquisitions through experience. And this we can talk about in this life or in many lives. For example, I just mentioned me. I'm from Brazil, but then I moved to United States. And this movement coming from one type of culture, moving to a very different type of culture, and living with a family that was my husband's family. They are all Americans. So it was very different for me. You know, in Brazil, our culture is much more, how can I say, we are much more loud. we are very open, and I think the weather also is very hot. Like, I'm from Rio, and New York, it's cold, so people dress in a different way. So when I moved here almost 19 years ago, it was a process of adaptation. Was it difficult? Was not like piece of cake. Was not impossible. Nothing is impossible. We can always achieve when we really want something. But it was a little difficult. I didn't have friends. I only had my husband and his family. So in the beginning, it was difficult. And of course, I had all the Brazilian typical culture. And one thing that's bad in Brazil, and is very common, and I had to learn here, and this is one thing that I really appreciate, I really like, is punctuality. And it is true. I know a lot of people are saying, no, it's not true, I'm Brazilian, very punctual. That's wonderful for you. I'm super happy. But the majority of people living in Brazil, this is cultural. It's not like the people are bad, but this is cultural. We have this thing in the head. And I remember I always did parties. And so when I organized parties and I said 7 o'clock, I expected people to be there 8 o'clock. So one time I, I did a party here too. And I said 7 o'clock. And friends of my husband, they arrived at 7 o'clock. And I hadn't even been in the shower yet. So it was like disaster. And my husband was like furious. He's like, what? Are you crazy? You said 7 o'clock. My friends are here at 7. And of course, my Brazilian friends arrived at 8. So little by little, I started improving in many aspects, not just punctuality, but so many other things. And they were very good for me to understand how life here is. And if you think in a general way, this is good in Brazil too. You know, it is good in Brazil too. But there is like a general acceptance. But you know, here, time is time. And this is one of the things that we start learning. And we learn so many things from many different cultures. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. Then we continue. The third paragraph. Oh, please, if you want to say anything, if you want to ask anything, please just let me know. Oh, somebody wrote here, River. Thanks, Angela, for organizing this gospel. Ah, very good, River. Thank you. Saul Souza. So, our children's spirit can be more old than us as parents. Yes, Saul. Yes. Our kids can be much older than us, much more evolved than us. And, you know, spiritually, morally, or intellectually, we don't know. But it doesn't mean that they are little kids, that they are less evolved than us. They can be actually spirits much more evolved, coming back as our children to help us to evolve, to help us to develop certain things that we don't know yet. When they get older, that's when we learn. Vanessa, my dear, hello. Thank you for joining. So we are reading the chapter 3, and I marked a paragraph here that's very interesting. So in the end, he says, the second part, within its vibratory frontiers, and by means of a brief learning period between cradle and grave, or what we call earthly experience. The soul changes positions according to the mental reflexes it has emitted or those it has assimilated in its environment. So we are born in a country, we learn the society there, the aspects there, whatever. We move somewhere else, like I just mentioned, and we learn and we improve. So imagine this happening through many incarnations. And each incarnation, you are born in a different country. I'm not saying it is like this all the time, because it's not. It could be, but it could be also that you are born in the United States for many incarnations. In spiritism, everything it varies, and we don't know, but there are vast possibilities. But sometimes we have that feeling that's actually called deja vu, when you go to a place and you look and you're like, wow, I feel that I have been here. It brings me memories. It's so funny. I don't know why. So I love to hear that, because usually this is connected with a past life experience. Because if you hadn't been there, really, if you're not lacking memory, if you hadn't been there really, and you have this sensation and it is so strong and powerful, it could be totally. So this happened to me when I went to Rome for the first time. For the first time I went to Rome, I was always in love with Italy, living in Brazil, and always deeply in love with anything related to Italy. And when I went to Italy, my fiance at the time, he was from Milan. So I was like, oh, my dream is to go to Rome, my dream. Anyway, one day we finally went to Rome, and he has the maps and he's like searching for places. And I remember being like, just like, in love with everything. And I wanted to go to the Colosseum, and we were close, but not there. And then he said, oh, I think we go here, here, here. And I remember telling him, no, 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 no. We can just take a shortcut. We just go here. And he's like, no, it's impossible. It's not in the map. This is not even here. And I said, oh, please. And when you are dating and engaged, everything's paradise. They do everything. So he's like, okay, let's go, honey. So we went. It was a little narrow street. We went to the end of the street, and I was in love with the clothes that were hanging on between the two apartment buildings. So when we arrived at the end, there was a wall. And then he was like, you see, there's a wall. And I was like, my God, they probably constructed the wall. And he's like, no, this is really a very old building. But then I decided to go to the end and touch the wall. When I arrived at the end and I looked, here there was an opening, very narrow opening, typical from Italy, that only one person could pass. It was like a long tunnel. And then I told him, my God, this is a tunnel. Look how cool. Let's go. Let's see what is in the other side. So we crossed. When we arrived in the other side. We could see at the end of the tunnel, there was like a long area. There was some kind of constructions, old constructions. And then I saw the Colosseum. And me and him, we were like, oh, wow. So it was like such a cool surprise. He couldn't understand how I knew that. I couldn't understand either, but I already had that feeling. I was not a spiritist in that time, but I had the feeling that there was something in my memory telling me. So this is just a cool story, and I'm sure all of you have lots of stories like this, because we all have deja vus of certain things that had happened to us. So if we turn a page, if we go to page 70, we go to the page 70, and the first paragraph, it says, it then reaps the results of its conduct. So what is that? We are living here. We are here incarnated, and we are working, we are studying, we are living in society, we are behaving in certain ways. But we will be reaping, or meaning we will be receiving back what we are producing now. So we have to be careful with what are we doing. Are we doing something good, or are we doing something negative? And you know, sometimes when we are immersed in certain things, when we are doing certain things, we do not realize that could be bad. So that's why many times it's good to have enemies. You know, I say in quote, because it doesn't mean the enemy of the person that hates you, but that person that sometimes doesn't like you very much and is gonna just tell, hey, Angela, this is not good. I don't think it's good at all. Think what you're doing. And then you get shocked because you don't expect that. But it's something for you to think, oh, is it good? I thought it was good. This is good. But because of that person, you think like maybe it's not good. And this is good for all of us, because it's like a wake-up call. This should come from our friends, our good friends. When they see something that's not good, they should tell us. That's what good friends they do. But what happened is sometimes they feel that we are going to be hurt, we're going to be upset, and they don't want to say anything. But the best friends, they should really say something. And if you really love that person, you will understand, you will respect, and you will really pay close attention to what the person is saying. So, whoa, it's 9:27. Let's move a little bit faster. So the next paragraph, Emmanuel says, of their position of wealth or social power will later return to live in the same ill-treated way. Meaning, if we were the person of power, of richness, and we treated badly a person, we will come back to the same environment, and we are going to be reborn there, but now in a condition very different. We are not going to have power, we are not going to have riches, but we are going to be the ones that we condemned, that we used to talk badly about. So we will feel in our skin what we imposed in others. And it's really, it's something, because, you know, other day I saw a video of a person talking about discrimination, and the person was very, very angry, upset, and I was thinking, my God, but does it really happen? And then I started thinking, my God, it does happen. It does happen. What happened is that it might not happen to us. It might not happen to us in that intensity, depending on where we live, what is our social position, what is our skin color. But a prejudice happens every day, everywhere. And sometimes we don't feel on us, but it's happening sometimes right next to us. And we don't see it. So we have to be aware these things happen, and it's very bad. And we have to fight against it. I'm not saying to fight to go creating wars around, but bringing awareness to people that this kind of prejudice happen. And be careful with what we say to people, because we can be hurting others. So we have to be very careful with things that we say and we do, to not hurt anyone. Sometimes it's impossible, because we will end up saying something that will hurt someone. But so learn to apologize. Learn to say, I'm sorry. I really didn't think about that. I will think better next time. Only like this we will be able to improve. And then by by the third paragraph, he's talking about the societies of yesterday. The societies of yesterday that had enslaved human labor must today receive and nurture as its own sons, those it has driven away from the land where they were to evolve. So this is happening right now, right now. If you think about all these migrations that are happening in the whole planet, it's amazing. Nothing happens by a chance. This is exactly what's happening right now. You know, Syria, the people from Venezuela, it's so many different countries that are mistreating their children. And then these people who live there, they have to escape, searching for a better life. And many times the countries who are actually embracing them are countries that in the past had mistreated them. So I don't know if you know, but Germany wrote an agreement and received lots and lots and lots of immigrants from Syria. I don't know the number exactly, but Angela Merkel, she signed this document, and I was very impressed, and I was very happy, because we know the history, the heavy history of Germany. So this is a blessing that Germany as a country, Germany as a society is embracing some of those immigrants that nobody wants to give a chance. So this is what we are talking here, is this evolution, this opportunity to come back and to be received, to go there and to be received as a second chance for the country and for the people who were mistreated there. And then the last paragraph, the previous one before the last. Then Emmanuel talked about the examples of the segregationist groups, and I saw very recently on Facebook a group of a Ku Klux Klan. I was just like surprised, because I thought this was something from the past. I never imagined they are really here in America right now, and so big and so strong. And these people, they are so how can I say, they think in such a narrow way that they think they are totally right. And then reporters went to the location where they live, and they went to do an interview, and it was very painful, especially because one of the interviews I saw, the reporter was a lady of color. So they accepted giving the interview, but during the interview, they were kind of insulting her. So it's very hard for us to imagine that nowadays we are in 2018, and still there are groups that think in this way. It's very hard. But we know there is the law of action and reaction. So there are consequences to all the hatred we are planting. We will be sowing that. If we don't receive in this life, will be another one that we will have to understand that what we are doing, it's not good. What we are doing is wrong, and we have to change. And then the last paragraph is the closing, the beautiful closing, as Emmanuel always does. Human society has always been a gigantic filter of spirits, in which souls learn experiences regarding wealth and poverty, as well as giving and receiving orders. By this process, they gather the harvest of their own planting, and either remaining on ordinary ground level or ascend in obedience to divine evolution. So we don't want to be remaining in the ground level. No, we want to ascend. We want to do a little bit better. We want to be able to live this life, and when we go to the spiritual realm, we see that we improved. We did something good. So that's why we are here. That's why we are here studying together, using this beautiful platform of Kardec Radio, where you can learn so many subjects. There are so many beautiful books that have many people like me commenting, exchanging thoughts, and then you can study together. So this is what we are doing, and this book is really a blessing to all of us. The chapters are very short, just 2 or 3 pages, but they are condensed and very effective. So thank you, Emmanuel. Now we move to the second book. So after 30 minutes, we go to the Gospel according to Spiritism. And we are reading since the beginning. So we are still in the introduction. That's very powerful, very strong. We are studying with our dear brothers, dear elevated brothers, Socrates and Plato. So as I mentioned to you guys, Socrates never wrote anything, but his great disciple, Plato, he wrote everything. So it's more or less like Jesus. Jesus never wrote anything, but his disciples did. So thank you, Plato, for writing. So nowadays we can benefit from it. So just a reminder for you guys, Socrates, he was born in, well, hold on, yes, Socrates, in 469 before Christ. So it's amazing. It's 2,500 years ago. And we are studying today number 11. So if you have this edition of the Gospel, it's page 46. You can also go to the Miami Inner Light and you can see the pages of the book there. So it's introduction and let me see. Introduction, a summary of the doctrine of Socrates and Plato, number 11. So the first portion is what Socrates and Plato said, and then we read the comments of Kardec. So let's go. 11. One of two things applies. Either death is absolute destruction, or it is the passage of a soul to another place. If everything is to be extinguished, then death is like one of those rare nights that we have without dreaming and without any self-awareness. However, if death is only a change of habitation, the passage to a place where the dead must meet, what happiness at re-encountering those whom we have known! My greatest pleasure would be to examine up close the dwellers of that habitation and distinguish there, as here, between those who are wise and those who believe they are, but are not. It is time, however, for us to part. I to die, and you to live. This was Socrates talking, his speech to his judges, to the judges who condemned him to death. So it's amazing how Socrates already, he had this feeling, this belief that there is something after death. There is something after this life. So let's see what Kardec comments. According to Socrates, those who have lived upon earth meet again after death and recognize one another. Spiritism shows us the continuation of the relationships they had in such a way that death is neither an interruption nor a cessation of life, with no solution of continuity, but a transformation. Had Socrates and Plato known the teachings that Christ would give 500 years later, and those which the spirits provide nowadays, they would not have spoken in any other manner. There is nothing surprising about this. One remembers that the great truths are eternal and that advanced spirits had to have known them before coming to earth, to which they brought them that Socrates and Plato and the other great philosophers of their time could have later been among those who aided Christ on his divine mission, and who were chosen precisely because more than anyone else they were capable of comprehending his sublime teachings. That, in short, today they may be part of the great host of spirits charged with coming to teach these same truths to humankind. So this is beautiful. This is beautiful. As we already mentioned many times, to any big building to be constructed, you have to have a very solid base. If you don't have a solid base, this building is not going to be able to sustain, it's not going to be able to survive a hurricane. I'm talking from Miami, okay, guys? Hurricanes here are common. I'm not used to this yet. But anyway, so if you think like this, Socrates and Plato, they were elevated spirits, spirits who had already a broader comprehension of this doctrine of Jesus that would come to earth just 500 years later. So they came to put the base, they came to put the cement for our minds to be able to, little by little, through the reincarnations, be returning and listening to that again, returning, listening, to be able to start understanding. So in the time of Jesus, we would have our minds a little bit more open to these teachings. And even like that, as you see, we weren't. But the good thing is that God understands that we are children and give us many opportunities to continue coming back and to continue improving. So let's go to number 12. Susanna, my dear, very good. Miami, huh? Miami analogies, love it. Building blocks, yeah. Yeah, tell me about. I have to be prepared to by next hurricane. The last one, I escaped to New York. Let's see if I stay here this time. Okay, let's read number 12. One should never return injustice for injustice, nor do evil to anyone, whatever may be the evil they have done to us. Few, however, will accept this principle, and those who are divided on this can only despise one another. Then Kardec comments, is this not a principle of charity, which teaches us not to return evil for evil and to forgive our enemies? So it is perfect. So you have to understand this was said by Socrates 2,500 years ago. So if nowadays we still don't understand it, we still have such a hard time to forgive, we still have such a hard time not to talk badly about other people who think differently than us, who act differently than us. Imagine 2,500 years ago. That's why they killed Socrates. They thought he was totally crazy. Because for us nowadays it's already difficult. You know, it's very easy to be friends, to respect people that think like you. They understand the same things, they like the same things, they do the same things. That's easy, that's a piece of cake. But when you have to leave, to work, to go to school with a person that maybe have something in common but have many other things that are different, this is difficult. This is really charity, because we have to learn how to respect the others. This is a process, but we have to start this process, or we are never gonna evolve. So number 13. It is by its fruit that the tree is known. It is necessary to qualify every action according to what it produces. To call it evil when evil comes from it. Good when the good is born from it. And then Kardec says, the maxim, the tree is known by its fruit, is textually repeated many times in the gospel. So when we start analyzing, a lot of people do not read the introduction of the gospel. And it's very sad because the introduction is really the base to understand how Kardec thought, this brilliant mind of Kardec, that he even thought about that. He studied Socrates and Plato, he read all the books, and he picked the main points, the points that were extremely similar. And he put here, he did a summary for us to benefit us. And it's beautiful how it's so similar to Christianity and to Spiritism. It's really beautiful. So then we go. Kardec Radio, we love Angy. This must be Adilson. Hey, Adilson, love you too, my dear. Miss you so much. So let's go to number 14. Wealth is a great danger. Oh my God. Yes, we know that. We know that. All who love wealth love neither themselves not what they are, but something that is even more foreign to them that what they are. This is chapter 16. So this is true. You know, this is just the comment of Socrates. Wealth, we know in Spiritism, we know wealth is a very dangerous test. Very dangerous. Very similar to beauty, very similar to power. Because what happens is like wealth can make beautiful things, can make amazing things. When you are born into wealth and you are able to manage that, or when you are not born to wealth, but you become very wealthy and you are able to manage that, it's beautiful. When you are rich, but the richness doesn't own you, if I can explain this in a better way. Like you are a rich person, but the money is not the owner of your soul. You administer that money in a beautiful way. You create companies. You give jobs to a lot of people. You bring improvement to the society. You open charities. You donate to many different organizations. Like I have to mention Bill Gates. Bill Gates, he is amazing. He is a brilliant mind, very, very intelligent. He brought amazing things to our modern society, and he joined Warren Buffett, that is like his best friend, and these two brilliant minds, they do amazing works of charity. We don't know half what they do, but they help a lot in Africa too. So they are rich, but the richness don't own them, if I can explain that. My English is not the best today. So Teresa, materially detached, yes, exactly. Exactly. And we know how easy it is to be connected to money. You know, money and power, they get together super easily, and then the society, and then people around you, people that want to be close to you because you're rich. So it's a very dangerous test to incarnate like that. You have really to be well prepared to reincarnate like that. So it's good to be like kind of more or less, maybe less because it's easy. It's easy. Then you come in a very powerful position. So let's see. Susanna, possesses without being possessed. Perfect. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I need translators to English today. Yes, yes. So we know that money is a dangerous, dangerous task. So number 15, the most beautiful prayers and the most beautiful sacrifice please the divinity less than a virtual soul who puts forth the effort to resemble it. It would be a grave thing if the gods were to have more consideration for our offerings than our soul. This way, even the guiltiest could render themselves favorable. But no, there are no truly just and wise except those who, through their words and deeds, redeem what they owe to the gods and men. So this is powerful. This is powerful. You know, there are two things here, but one is like the most beautiful prayers and the most beautiful sacrifice please the divinity less than a virtual soul who puts forth the effort to resemble it. So we always say, like, you know, sometimes people are so afraid to do a prayer. Oh, no, 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 I don't want to do a prayer. I don't know how to pray, and blah, blah, blah. And then somebody else can do it. Yes, when you're doing a group, yes, maybe you feel that your prayers are not as beautiful as somebody else, but we know there are different how can I say, gifts, and some people are able to talk well and beautiful. Other people are not so capable of expressing it. But when you are in your home, remember, you can do whatever you want, and the most beautiful prayer is the prayer that comes from your heart. And we always say the length of the prayer it's not going to make the prayer more powerful. Maybe to people who listen and who connect with it, yes. But if the person who is doing the prayer is doing a long, beautiful prayer, but that person don't really live what he is saying, so there is no meaning. Sometimes it's better you just say, thank you, God. Thank you for the blessings I received. Then a 10 minutes prayer full of powerful words, but the person is not living that. So there is a story that I actually reenacted a play by my friend Eduardo Guimarães. I don't know if he's still here with us in the chat room, but many years ago, he and somebody else wrote a play that we reenacted in Connecticut. And it was about a speaker in a spiritist house, in a spiritist center. And this speaker, he said beautiful words. It's like very powerful. And lots of people, they were really in love with his lectures and his teachings. And during the play, this speaker, he goes out on the streets and he goes to his day-to-day life, and many things happens. So there are many situations that he is exposed to, and he acts totally different than what he preached. So he saw a homeless woman with a baby and a child on the floor, and the baby in the time was my son. He didn't do anything. He looked. He didn't even, she was begging for food, for money. He didn't do anything. He walked away. And then he saw an old lady that wanted to cross the street, and he also ignored. Then a friend of his invited him to go to the nursing home to visit some elderly people, because it was an activity that another spiritist center was doing. They invited him, and he said, oh, I'm very busy, I can't, I have to give lectures here and there and there. Anyway, many things. So through the prayer, we saw that this speaker, he knew how to say beautiful things, but he was not doing anything. And then, boom, he dies. I think he had a heart attack, he died, and he wakes up in the spiritual realm. And then charity comes to talk to him and to tell him. It's a long play, but basically Charity came and said, my son, what happened to you? You on earth, in your last reincarnation, you studied so much, you evolved intellectually, you memorized all the teachings of the enlightened spirits, but you did not practice it. And this was like a very sad awakening for him. So when he woke up in the other side and he saw that he was involved in this heavy and dark energy, and then he started seeing other people who used to go to the Spirit Center that he gave lectures, and they were surrounded with beautiful light. And this can happen to anyone. I'm not saying just to Spiritist speakers, but to anyone. People who love to talk about good, beautiful things, but when the moment arrives for them to demonstrate, they already know that, and they don't do it. So this is something for us to pay attention to. What is our behavior? What are we doing? Are we really saying beautiful things and doing it? Or we just know how to say and we don't do anything? So this is something to be careful. Let's be careful, and let's really practice more. We can even say less and do more. That makes God much happier with our behavior. So let me see if anyone said anything here. Susanna is clapping. Hey, I'm gonna invite you to talk with me, Susanna. Elcira joined. Hey, Elcira, nice to see you. Kardec Radio. Wealthy is a divine tool as long as it does not enslave us. Perfect. Exactly. That's how we should use it. The problem is that it's very dangerous for us to ask for wealth and not be able to behave in a positive way. Carlos, my dear, very good. Welcome. So we still have a few minutes. Let's read another one. So number 16. Who arrived right now? We are studying the Gospel according to Spiritism Introduction, the part of Socrates and Plato, number 16. So let's go. I call depraved that the commonplace lover who loves the body more than the soul. Love is everywhere in nature, which invites us to exercise our intelligence. It is found even in the movements of the heavenly bodies. It is love that adorns nature with its rich cover. It puts on its finery and sets its dwelling where it finds flowers and fragrances. It is also love that gives peace to humans, tranquility to the sea, and silence to the winds, and sleep to pain. Wow, so poetic, so romantic. Oh, love, which this is Kardec commenting. Love, which must unite humankind through a fraternal tie. Its consequences of Plato's theory on universal love as a law of nature. Socrates' affirmation that love is neither a god nor a mortal, but a great daemon. So we already studied that daemon is not the devil like we understand nowadays. Daemon is a spirit. Daemon is just a spirit to the understanding of Socrates. So, but a great spirit, that is a great spirit presiding over universal love, was imputed to him as a crime above all else. So, Socrates says in the beginning here, I call depraved that commonplace lover who loves the body more than the soul. So, sometimes our society nowadays also makes this mistake. So many people think the external is more important than the internal. And they give so much importance to it. Yes, it would be great if I could have my face beautiful until I'm 90 years old. But unfortunately, age starts happening and everything starts going down with the law of gravity. But as I mentioned before today, the age brings beautiful things for us. The age calms us down, bring us more experience, make us like a calmer, nicer. We think twice before we say something to somebody else. And there is nothing wrong in doing plastic surgery. I'm not talking against it. I'm talking that everything in excess, it's a problem. Everything is excess in anything. Chocolate is delicious. In excess is bad. Salt, sugar, all these things, and even plastic surgery. So he is talking this, that we should pay more attention to our souls than to our physical bodies. And there is a book of André Luiz. I don't know if it's Missionaries of the Light. But anyway, in this book, there is this beautiful woman. She's like a model. She's gorgeous. They describe her as absolutely beautiful. And then André Luiz and his mentor, they go to her house because they need to talk to her in spirit. So they need to wait for her to fall asleep. Then when she wakes up in the spiritual realm, they need to talk to her because of her behavior. She needs to change her behavior, and they wanna talk to her. And then they are there waiting. She falls asleep, and then she wakes up. I don't know what happened. And André Luiz is like, I don't know where she is. I'm seeing an old lady here. And then his mentor tells him, no, André, she is that spirit. And he's like, what? She's that spirit? That woman? No, she can't be that woman. And then the mentor explains, yes, she is that woman. She didn't look just old, but she looked ugly, and she looked really mean because of her behavior. That was the characteristic of her full being. Her full being was like this. So when she is incarnated, she was incarnated in a beautiful physical body, but her spirit, that's the truth. That's how she looks. So this is more or less why she was behaving in that way, because her spirit was like this. So we don't wanna accumulate all this negative energy, these negative behaviors, this hatred. All of this modifies our energy, our vibration, and then we vibrate in a very negative way, and this is what becomes our spirit. We don't want this. We don't need to be absolutely beautiful, but we really need to improve. We need to improve every single incarnation to make our spirit more beautiful, because our physical body, it will be what we need. It will be what we need for that incarnation. It will be what we need to improve ourselves, to be in one way or to be in another way, to have some kind of physical defect because we need that to behave in a better way. We don't know. These are the enlightened spirits who are going to help us, who are going to organize our reincarnation in a way that will be guiding us to be able to improve better. So we have just to give thanks to everything we have, continue our pathway to the betterment, because only like this we will become a beautiful spirit, incarnated or not. Our soul will be a little bit better in the future than what it is now. So this is it. Let me see who wrote something here. Susanna, about your son on the play. Yeah, you need to see my son on display. I have few videos. One day I will publish it on Facebook. So all the good things we do is between us and God, never between us and other. We can do good things without anyone knowing. Only God knows in our hearts. Yeah, so exactly. And sometimes we like to do good things and to show others because we can inspire others to start doing too. So we have the Fraternity Without Borders that are doing beautiful works in Africa, and so many people are getting involved because they see the videos and they get deeply touched, and then they're like, wow, my God, the level of poverty there is much bigger than anywhere else. There is poverty everywhere. But yes, in certain countries, the level of poverty is really something. So this is good, but what happened is that we shouldn't be doing things just as a show off. This is not good. And God knows. God knows when the person is trying to be a show off or when the person is trying to inspire others. So there is a thin borderline that we have to be careful with this. We have to be very careful with this. But the important thing is doing good to others from our heart, not just to impress people, but because I feel good, because I want it, because I know I'm doing my little help and somebody else will going to benefit from it. That's everything that's important. Very good, guys. It's awesome. And we stopped, let me mark, although I'm going to forget. We stopped on number 16. We stopped in number 16. So next time we start on the 17. So just to remind you, in 2 weeks, I will be in London. I'm not going to be in Miami, so I'm not going to be able to do our talk. I will talk in the following week. And it will be, hold on, 1 second. So instead of the 24, we'll be on the 31st of May. But I will send the invite. So it was awesome. And as usually, we do our final prayer. And then if you have any extra comments, we can talk about it. So I invite you right now just to relax, close your eyes. And let's elevate our thoughts to God, to our Master Jesus, to our guardian angels, and say thank you. Thank you so much for bringing us together here. Thank you so much for helping us to read and to understand the teachings of these two beautiful books. But most of all, Master Jesus, please help us to apply it. Help us to be able to do what we are learning, because in this way we will be really improving this time that we are spending here incarnated on earth. Please send this loving energy to our brothers and sisters who are not here right now, but who might be listening to this talk later on. And thank you so much for the opportunity of being here again. So be it. Awesome! Very, very good, guys. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much to all of you. Have a great, great night. And I hope to see you again, and this time in 3 weeks on May 31st. So have a great night. God bless everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.